down on the ground. Face down. Come on.
Oh, no. You don't understand. This is an alaya.
And a what?
It's like a totally important designer.
And I will totally shoot you in the head. Get out. Good. Good. Yeah. All right. Count to 100. Thank you.
1.
Obviously, the most iconic part of the 1995 film Clueless was Cher Horowitz's closet computer. The memorable costumes in the film were designed by Mona May, who called the plaid skirt set a nod to a Catholic schoolgirl uniform, but taken to another level and turned designer. Cher wore a total of 59 outfits in the movie, most of which weren't the actual style of teens in 1994 when the film was being made. May said, "The goal was to make it very feminine, because at the time, it was all about grunge. When we went scouting at high school, everybody was wearing big baggy clothes and you couldn't tell a girl from a boy. We wanted to go against that." Despite a $200,000 budget, Mona had to dress every character in the movie from lead to extra. And plenty of characters, like Christian, were dressed in thrift store pieces, but everybody still looked so good. And about that famous Alaya look that Cher had to lay on the ground in while being robbed, said May, "We had to find someone connected to Alaya and worry about it if we could get the dress for free, if we could alter the dress to fit Alicia. Amy wrote the lines for it. I designed the jacket she wore over it, the red and black with the boa trim on the sleeves." Mona also designed the costumes for Never Been Kissed, The Wedding Singer, and Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. Fictional high school fashion was also killer in 1999's Jawbreaker. Explained costume designer Vicki Barrett on the movie's fun, reimagined pinup style, "We wanted it to be sweet and sugary looking, and then it takes a turn. We tried not to use any dark or moody colors at all and keep it really light, festive, and fun so that the element of darkness would be a surprise." Good costuming could make a movie. In 1990's Pretty Woman, Marilyn Vance won a BAFTA for Best Costume Design. People always remember the transition of Julia Roberts' character from Streetwalker to Sugar Baby, shown in the opening blue and white ensemble and the red opera dress and $1.3 million necklace acquired just for the film. The dress was made by Marilyn Vance herself. She told Vogue later, "Before the decision was made, we ended up creating 3 different dresses. Poor Julia had to endure so many photos and color testing for this dress." While Roger Ebert may have hated the 1997 film Baps so much that he gave it a no-star rating and it was dragged by a bunch of other critics, it's a black cult classic. Halle Berry and Natalie Desselle showed their comedic chops and looked good while doing it. Costume designer Ruth E. Carter, who had done Spike Lee films and would go on to design for Black Panther, said, "I was really young. Baps was only maybe my 3rd movie. I felt like if I were to do it now, I would probably be more sensitive to my Atlanta sisters. But I looked at it like it was satire. And coming out of theater, I was very much accustomed to satire. And when we think about our history of vaudeville, how we really did slapstick, it was very funny." The movie's ghetto fabulous styles, which can be seen in 1990's party pictures from the South, have since been remixed and recycled into fashion and made great costumes. In 1993's Poetic Justice, Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur were outfitted by costume designers John Lemons and Charlene Williams. Jackson's look perfectly encapsulated the early 90s sporty tomboy era made famous by rappers. The Nanny, starring Fran Drescher, wasn't for everybody, but it was personally one of my late night faves by the time I was catching reruns on Nick at Night. The costume design was by former actress and model Brenda Cooper, who sourced so many iconic looks that I literally cannot name them all. Who can forget the Moschino heart bag with the teeny weeny black dress? That one's probably my favorite, but I don't know. If I saw like all of the pictures, I'd probably pick a new favorite one. Explained Cooper to Shondaland in 2023. "I didn't want the show to have a timestamp. I wanted to create a look that 30 years into the future, the look of the show would be as popular today as it was back then." Fran was draped in fluffy robes and various designers like Vivienne Westwood to Moschino to Versace, and pieces were repeated in earlier seasons before the budget was upped. "Because Fran had so many outfit changes," explained Cooper, "every week I had to come up with 6 outfits that are top to toe tailored with accessories. So I came up with formulas, and one formula was the turtleneck under a dress. And that's why you'll see Fran in so many turtlenecks under dresses." In 1992's hit film Death Becomes Her, Joanna Johnston designed the glamorous and sexy looks fitting for a highly visual dark comedy magic film about death, and I love these outfits. Johnston also did costume design for Hellraiser and Forrest Gump. For 1996's The Craft, costume designer Deborah Everton did a lot of thrifting and altering to create one-of-a-kind wardrobes for parochial school witches. This was my favorite look though, this one right here, like I looked everywhere for this outfit. I couldn't find it. Said Everton in 2016 to Dazed magazine, "The film still looks good today. I watched it not too long ago, and do you know what? It doesn't look like a 20-year-old film. The clothes are clothes people today still wear. And still wanna wear. Child, find me this outfit." Now, I do a deep dive on the Spice Girls and their brand and impact on the deep cut on my Patreon, but let's talk about the looks in Spice World created by Kate Karen. Explain Karen, "I told the girls in my first meeting that I wanted the movie to look like a cartoon. Scooby-Doo on acid and like a big luscious bowl of the most exotic and colorful fruit. They loved that. I wanted everybody's outfit in this movie except for Sporty. I still do. Their manager in the movie, Clifford, was also styling. And you remember how Victoria couldn't choose between the little Gucci dress or the little Gucci dress? Did you know she wasn't actually wearing Gucci?" Added Karen, "No little Gucci dresses were worn by Victoria. We made them for her, which she loved." In 1996's Evita, Madonna's 85 costume changes as the Argentinian leader Eva Perón not only broke a Guinness World Record, but caused style experts to predict a desire for 1940s vintage, luxurious, and feminine fashion. Remarked the LA Times, "There have been very feminine clothes with a Spanish feel by Karl Lagerfeld, John Galliano, and others appeared recently on runways at the spring collections in Europe and New York." The costumes were created by Penny Rose, the future mastermind of the Pirates of the Caribbean costumes. She was granted special access to Perón's archives and dressed over 40,000 extras with 55,000 costumes, sourced from costume houses and vintage shops, but also produced by seamstresses. Said Victor Cosa, who was over the era's minimalism, "The youth of today hasn't experienced glamour at all," saying that they needed outfits like this. But other fashion experts mused that people jumped the gun and then nobody was about to start dressing like Eva Perón. Said Bill Glass after he wrongly predicted the outfits would catch on, "That was before I saw the pictures of Madonna in those clothes. She looks much older. Honey, nobody wants to look matronly." Any tour of costume designers in the 1990s isn't complete without Patricia Field, who was the mastermind behind the looks in Sex and the City. She first met Sarah Jessica on the set of another movie, and the actress introduced her to Sex and the City's creator, Darren Star. Patricia Field dressed 4 distinct characters with so much verve that they set trends off screen, causing frenzies for Manolo Blahnik's, the Fendi Baguette bag, the $5 tutu worn in the opening sequence, and more. All of Carrie's worst outfits even have a sense of charm. And yes, I'm including this one where she's wearing a belt around her goddamn stomach. Like, what? Carrie, why? But I mean, it's Carrie, but Carrie, why? The crew gave Fields tremendous pushback over Carrie's picnic time Heidi outfit in season 2. Darren Star's vision originally included the kind of outfits more at home on his old show, Melrose Place. Said Patricia in 1999, "We had to say to the guys, look, the girls in this show just aren't gonna wear miniskirts with high heels. No one in New York dresses like that, period." That really was a blow to a lot of people. Patricia Field's underground store of eclectic fashions, known since the 1970s to a vibrant LGBT community, was suddenly overwhelmed with visitors wanting to shop with the Sex and the City stylist. Explained Simon Noonan, "Shows like this do a good job of raising people's threshold for what is acceptable. Maybe they themselves will never wear something that aggressively groovy, but if they watch, they find ways to translate it." In 1999's Fight Club, Tyler Durden's outfits were intentionally selected by Michael Kaplan to appear to be from thrift stores. Susan Leal did a lot of thrift shopping and collaborating for 1995's cult classic Empire Records. She said on giving Liv Tyler's character a Madonna horror vibe, "I remember we shorted the mohair sweater a little bit because it was kind of sexy to reveal her stomach, but she also had to look virginal, like a ripe piece of fruit. I believe those boots were hers." Speaking of short skirts, the ones put on fictional Ally McBeal by a bevy of costume designers were supposed to be rebellious. Criticized one Brooklyn attorney to Entertainment Weekly, "I can wear skirts, but nothing thigh length, even if it's beautiful. I don't think jurors care one way or another, but you don't get something 5 or 6 inches above the knee. You want to look professional. The editor of Jane magazine, Jane Pratt, said, "Women find themselves emulating Ally McBeal, feeling okay wearing shorter skirts to the office because of her. She's freeing women up." One TV critic saw the short skirts that Ally McBeal wore as a method of the series' absurdist humor, saying that sense of absurdity is expressed in the clothes she wears. There's a comic aspect to her dressing. Her clothes are so skimpy and so unprofessional. In 1996's Romeo and Juliet, Kim Barrett added to the dreamy and opulent landscapes of Verona Beach with religious imagery and Baroque-inspired pieces on loan from Dolce & Gabbana. She said, "Everything was touched by a human hand. Everything was painted, everything was embellished, everything was aged." She went in the entirely different direction for the futuristic designs in The Matrix. Kim used a variety of techniques to keep the airborne actors stylish and on narrative while being attached to harnesses and wires. The famous glasses were designed by Richard Walker and Blind Design. And when designing Christian Dior's fall 1999 couture collection, John Galliano admitted to being deeply inspired by The Matrix. And speaking of sci-fi, we can't forget the 1997 film The Fifth Element, for which fashion designer Jean Paul Gaultier spent a year drawing 8,000 sketches, eventually creating over 1,000 designs. Marianne Eloise explored the fashion in the film, documenting Lilo's sexy bandage dress meant to convey naivety, the super cute McDonald's uniform, and the bold leopard print costume for Ruby Rhod, allegedly a role originally meant for Prince. Said Gaultier, "Luke told me that Prince found the costumes a bit too effeminate, and most importantly, he had thought he heard fuck you, when I was saying in my terrible English accent, fuck you, fake ass." There were also the sexy flight attendant uniforms, which Gaultier described as, "It's a little changed from what they are wearing on Air France." By the way, Gaultier dropped his first line of fragrances in 1993, and they had the cutest bottles and can packaging. Another film that predicted the style of the future was Hype Williams' Belly. Costume designer and hip-hop stylist June Ambrose was tasked with designing looks that would forecast what the hip-hop genre is going to look like in the millennium.